Hey everybody, this is Dream, and today we have a nice little 6-game NBA slate. Before I get started, you guys smash that like and subscribe button. Keep in mind there are games before and after this slate, so uh, these are only going to include those 6 games that start at 7 p.m. and the last game starts at 8:30 on this particular slate. With that said, we do have an injury report to look at. Our cash line today is somewhere between 269 and 289. We do have a couple high scoring games, and then we have a few low scoring games. The two high scoring games, well, really three, are Brooklyn, Indiana, Washington, Chicago, and Golden State and the LA Lakers. So to keep that in mind, all the games on the slate have a 9-point spread or higher, except for the Lakers and Warriors. However, the Warriors and Lakers game, everybody is very expensive. So let's go ahead and get into the slate though here. Uh, Let's look at the injury report for the Trailblazers. Thibault is questionable. Grant is doubtful. Brogdon, Sharp, and Williams are out. For the Pelicans, Daniels is out. For the Nets, Simmons and Gilliard are out. For the Pacers, Mithurian and McDermott are out. For the Hornets, Ball, Williams, Martin, and Curry are out. For the 76ers, Harris is questionable. Embiid, Melton, and Covington is out. So if Harris was to miss, that would give a nice big boost to um, Kelly Oubre, who would become a core play for me if that is the case. Looking at the Wizards, Avija, Holmes are both questionable. Ty Jones is doubtful, and Bagley, Shamet, and Livers is out. If Ty Jones gets ruled out for certain, then Jared Butler definitely gets a boost, as does Colaby. And if Avija and Holmes were to potentially miss, that would give a boost to just about everybody on the team, especially Jordan Poole. But looking at the at the Bulls, White is doubtful, and Levine and Williams are out. With White doubtful, assuming he misses here, Caruso and Craig are both going to get a little bit of boost, as well as Dasanmu. Uh, Looking at the Grizzlies, Jackson Jr., Aldama, and Pippen are questionable. Vince Williams is doubtful. And Morant, Smart, Zaire Williams, and Rose and Stevens are all out. For the Warriors, Curry and Green are questionable. Obviously, if one of those guys were to miss, that would open up some other potential value in that Golden State Laker game. And for the Lakers, LeBron is questionable. Wood, Vanderbilt, Reddish, and Vince are out. If LeBron were to miss, that would definitely give a boost to some guys. I'm very kind of concerned about that late game because of those questionable tags. Uh, However, it's not too late, so that does help here. So let's go and get into plays we do like right now. I do think there's going to be some potential guys that are added later on with the Warriors and Lakers game questionable tags, so we'll just have to wait and see on that. But I do think that's definitely possible today. But right now I have Jordan Poole and Miles Turner in the core plays. Now I'm going to preface to say that these are not very, very strong core plays. They are pretty weak, to be honest, and there's a couple other guys that are very close to being in the core play range. And I can also see with the injury report that there are several guys that I would move into the top tier of core plays, assuming certain guys get ruled out. So let's go ahead and get into it though. So we're going to start with our core plays here of Poole. Now Poole, he's a core play here. He has had a few off games, but he has much upside as anybody on the slate, and he's underpriced. His rough games were also versus Memphis and Miami over the last few games, so I'm not overtly worried, especially the plus matchup here in Chicago. He's been pretty good lately, so he has a lot of potential today and a plus matchup. Looking at Miles Turner, his floor has become better since Siakam has joined the team. Even though his minutes are a little bit inconsistent, he has plenty of upside at this price point. He really just feels underpriced here, though he definitely carries a little bit of risk because he does have that lower floor that we don't love. But like I said, his floor has risen with Siakam on the team, and so he definitely becomes a valuable option, especially in a home game. Though it is a tougher matchup, as Brooklyn does have some guys that can, make it tough for the bigs. But I do think he's a viable option on the slate and has a lot of potential. Nikola Vucevic was very borderline being included in this video, but he's squarely a GPP play. He has some really nice upside going up into one of the weakest defenses when it comes to against big guys, but he's really been inconsistent lately, and he's only had a couple boom games over the last 10 or so, so he definitely carries some risk today. He's a little bit overpriced, but he definitely has that nice big time upside, and he has managed it in some games recently. This game should be a game that he has that potential as well. I don't know what to make of the fact that his fantasy output at home is 5 points lower than on the road, but he definitely has good potential today regardless. Looking at DeMar DeRozan for Chicago, he has been Pretty consistent lately, but he gets a bigger boost whenever the game is close near the end because he goes into hero mode and he tends to have absolutely monster performances in those games. I don't necessarily expect this game to be super close to the end, but I do think that the Bulls will have a pretty decent lead, and he'll probably still go into some sort of mode at some point. I do expect him to 5x today, but whether he gets a 6x or not is whether the Wizards can keep it relatively close or not. But I do think he's going to get over 40 fantasy points, so he's definitely a good play on the slate. Denny Abidja, he would be a core play if he wasn't questionable. But he had a right knee contusion in the last couple games, so uh, in the last game, excuse me. So he definitely has this nice upside as he's been playing well. His price has come up a little bit though, but the plus matchup and his usage and stuff has also been up with the other injuries to the Wizards. But we'll have to wait and see what the injury situation for Washington is. And if he plays, though, he'll be somebody I would consider quite a bit. Looking at AO Zanmu for Chicago, he had his first really off game in about a couple weeks. He has had some games under 28 fantasy points, but he definitely has some good potential today in this plus matchup against the Wizards, who've been absolutely terrible defensively. He's just played very well lately with all the injuries to the Bulls. With Levine out, he's had a nice boost of minutes and potential. So as long as he's playing well, he's somebody to consider. Though he doesn't really have that like big boom potential, but he's a relatively safe play. Then we're going to look at Kelly Oubre. Now he's another guy that I would put into core play status if uh, Harris is ruled out for the 76ers. He's currently questionable. Even if he does play, then Oubre still has some potential as he's been playing pretty well lately, and I do like he has some potential though. With Maxi fully back in action though, his minutes do go down a little bit. But if Harris is to miss, then Oubre would get boosted right back up into being a viable option today. So sorry about that. Then we're going to move on to Alex Caruso. Now, Caruso has been interesting lately. His usage is up with White out, and he has fantasy point potential here today. He's priced a little higher than I'd like, but he has that nice boom potential. Obviously, he has an extremely low floor, so you need to, he's very risky on this one. I noticed that there's a lot of guys in this price range today, so he's definitely viable, but I do like Desanmu, Ubre, and Poole better, assuming that those guys, and Turner for that matter, better, assuming those guys are at full strength. So looking at Torrey Craig for the Chicago Bulls. Now he is a value play today. Now he has been getting some minutes the last few games, and as long as he can get into the starting lineup, then he's definitely gonna have a lot of potential. If Kobe White misses again, he may stick in that starting lineup today, and I do like his potential in this one, especially in an up tempo game against a weak defense. He doesn't tend to do a ton fantasy wise, but he definitely has a good baseline op- uh, game here when he gets over 25 minutes. Looking at Jared Butler for Washington, I'm sort of presuming by utilizing him here that the Ty Jones, who is doubtful, will be out. I do think that he's going to get some minutes for the first time. Some good minutes here, as he has been out of the rotation off and on throughout the season. But he's getting some minutes lately, and he could get blasted in the starting lineup soon. He's had a couple of good games throughout the season when he's gotten 15 plus minutes, and I look for him to potentially have a really good opportunity here. But we'll have to wait and see what they decide to do if Jones misses. But he's played. He has obviously a super low floor because he doesn't play a ton of minutes usually. If he gets moved to the starting lineup, he would be somebody I would consider though, because he definitely has that potential. Other options to consider today: Zion Williams, Anthony Davis, and DeAndre Ayton. Really didn't feel like this slate is too terrible, but the injury questions will definitely make or break the slate. I do think how Chicago plays today will definitely influence the cash lines and will be kind of the catalyst of the slate outside of the injury situations that we're still waiting on. With the Warriors and Lakers, obviously, if LeBron were to miss, I'm just going to talk about this overall, just to kind of give you the thing here. If LeBron were to miss, then Russell and Reeves would get a boost, and where the prices come up, so has Hakamar's price is a little bit up. So they're not must plays, but I do think Reeves and Russell would become good plays with James out. Anthony Davis is not overpriced today, but he definitely carries a lot of risk as he's never typically that consistent. With Curry and Draymond Green being questionable for the Warriors, if Curry were to miss, Chris Paul would get a boost. So we Klay Thompson and Podzimski, but all three of those guys, this price has jumped up already because Curry missed a couple games. If Draymond Green was to miss, then that would give Jackson Davis a boost, but he's also a little bit overpriced today, as well as Kaminga, who's also overpriced today. So a lot of guys on that in that late game have been priced up due to the fact that they probably knew this game was going to be a higher scoring game on the slate. But with the questionable tags, there's some guys that you could definitely move to. But right now, it's pretty avoidable at this point. With that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. And have a nice day, guys.